Alright, it seems we are connected. Hello, everyone. Welcome to December 1st, a whole new month. And, yeah, I had to copy and paste some stuff from my previous stream, but let's get this show on the road here. All links to the comics that you see on the screen will be in the description. I have made sure to include everything down there in case you are, compelled to check out some of the campaigns. Let me drink some tea here. I do apologize for last week. So the whole thing that happened with last week is basically I got a fever and it knocked me out for a couple of days. And that overlapped with the days of the Sunday and Monday stream. So it was out of my hands, but at the same time, yeah, I probably should have said something on social media. I am terribly sorry for that, folks. But anyways, today is December 1st, which means that I am no longer holding to the no alcohol rule. So, I don't know if I've explained this before, but November is considered NaNoWriMo month, meaning National Novel Writing Month. And, oh hey, I just finished this comic today. Yeah. Anyways, so National Novel Writing Month, I have never been able to write a novel within 1 month, but I mostly use that as an excuse to exclusively focus on my writing projects. And I had a couple of writing projects in mind. I got 2.5 of them complete. So, yeah, I am a failure, but whatever. I will get it done. It was mostly just an aspirational thing of what I can get done, and what I have gotten done, I am pretty proud of myself. But anyway, part of the NaNoWriMo challenge that I do is going no alcohol for an entire month, which, yeah, I think it's good. It's basically my Lent. So, take that as you will. Anyways, my Lent is done. You have me now. I have a can of beer and a cup of chamomile tea because I do have a sore throat, because apparently God has decided to punish me with 2 illnesses back to back. Whatever. That's his call. I'm just gonna be living in this plane of existence. Whatever. I'll just go by what he is throwing me, alright? But since it is December 1st, which is the first day of the Christmas season, I thought it would be fun to read some of A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. And I got this it's like a mock book of what the original Christmas Carol book was supposed to be back in the day, but obviously embellished a little bit. And it has some illustrations in here. I think there's a bookmark somewhere. No? No? Alright. So, I guess tonight we're going to be reading the first chapter, which I believe is just about Marley's ghost. So, not too exciting, but it is A Christmas Carol, and I do plan on reading the rest of this throughout the rest of the month, so... Ooh, sorry. I just had dinner right before that, so I am so sorry. God, I hope I get over this before work tomorrow. Alright. So, we shall be reading the first chapter of A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. Introduction, preface. Alright, here we are. Christmas Carol in prose, being a ghost story of Christmas. Yeah, apparently it was like an old English tradition where you told ghost stories in Christmas, which, alright, I'm not gonna judge. Alright. Stave 1. Marley's Ghost. Marley was dead, to begin with. There is no doubt whatever about that. The register of his burial was signed by the clergyman, the clerk, and the undertaker, and the chief mourner. Scrooge signed it, and Scrooge's name was good upon change for anything he chose to put up his hand up to. Ugh. Old Marley was dead as a doornail. Mind, I don't mean to say that I know of my own knowledge that there is particularly dead about a doornail. I might have been inclined myself to regard a coffin nail as the deadliest piece of ironmongery in the trade. Why are we getting into this? Alright, British humor, whatever. But the wisdom of our ancestors is in the simile, and my unhallowed handle shall not disturb it, or the country's done for. You will therefore permit me to repeat emphatically that Marley was as dead as a doornail. Scrooge knew he was dead. Of course he did. How could it be otherwise? Scrooge and he were partners for I don't know how many years. Scrooge was his sole executioner, his sole administrator, his sole assign, his sole registry legality, his sole friend and sole mourner. And even Scrooge was not so dreadfully cut up by the sad event, but that he was an excellent man of business on the very day of the funeral, and surmised it with an undoubted bargain. Man, how sad is that where the only friend you have is your business partner? The mention of Marley's funeral brings me back to the point I started from. There is no doubt that Marley was dead. We get it! This must be distinctly understood, or nothing wonderful can come from the story that I am going to relate. If we were not perfectly convinced that Hamlet's father died before the play began, there should be nothing more remarkable in his taking a stroll at night in an easterly wind upon his own ramparts than there would be in any other middle-aged gentleman rashly turning out after dark in the breezy spot, say St. Paul's churchyard, for instance, literally to astonish his son's weak mind. Scrooge never painted out old Marley's name. There it stood, years afterwards, above the warehouse door, Scrooge and Marley. The firm was known as Scrooge and Marley. Sometimes people new to the business called Scrooge, and sometimes Marley, but he answered to both names. It was all the same to him. Oh, but he was a tight-fisted hand at the grindstone, Scrooge. A squeeze, wrenching, grasping, scraping, clutching, combinous old sinner. Hard and sharp as flint, from which no steel had ever struck out generous fire. Secret and self-contained, and solitary as an oyster. The cold within him froze his old features, nipping his pointed nose, shriveling his cheeks, stiffened his gait, made his eyes red, his thin lips blue, and spoke out shrewdly in his grating voice. A frosty rime was on his head, and on his eyebrows his wiry chin. And on his... Okay. He carried his lower temperatures always about with him. He iced his office in the dog days and didn't thaw it 1 degree at Christmas. External heat and cold had little influence on Scrooge. No warmth could warm. No wintry weather could chill him. No wind that blew was bitterer than he. Falling snow was more intent upon its purpose. No pelting rain, less open to entry. Foul weather didn't know where to have him. The heaviest rain, the snow, the hail, the sleet, could boast of the advantage over him only in one respect. They often came down handsomely, and Scrooge never did. Nobody ever stopped him in the street to say, with gladsome looks, "My dear Scrooge, how are you? When will you come to see me?" No beggars implored him to bestow a trifle. No children asked him what it was o'clock. No man or woman ever once in all his life inquired the way in such and to such and such a place of Scrooge. Even the blindman's dog appeared to know him, and when they saw him coming on, would tug their owners into doorways and up courts, and then would wag their tails at those to say, "No eye at all is better than an evil eye, dark master." Wow. That is quite a description of a man. It's been quite some years since I've read A Christmas Carol, and Dickens does have a way of detailing a man before you know him. Lighting another incense here. How long is this stave? I will probably end halfway through Marley's Ghost, or maybe through Marley's Ghost, depending how long I get. I have been slightly under the weather. Alright. But what did Scrooge care? It was the very thing he liked, to edge his way along the crowded paths of life, warning all human sympathy to keep its distance, was what the knowing ones called nuts to Scrooge. Once upon a time, of all the good days in the year on Christmas Eve, old Scrooge sat busy in his counting-house. It was cold, bleak, biting weather, foggy withal, and he could hear the people in the court outside go wheezing up and down, beating their hands upon their breasts, and stamping their feet upon the pavement stones to warm them. The city clocks had only just gone 3, but it was quite dark already. It had not been light all day, and the candles were flaring in the windows of the neighboring offices, like ruddy smears upon the palpable brown air. The fog came pouring in at every chink and keyhole, and was so dense without, and although the court was of the narrowest, the house opposite were mere phantoms. To see a dingy cloud come dropping down, obscuring everything, one might have thought that nature lived hard by, and was brewing on a large scale. The door of Scrooge's counting-house was open, that he might keep his eye upon his clerk, who was in a dismal little cell beyond, a sort of tank that was copying letters. Scrooge had a very small fire, but the clerk's fire was so very much smaller that it looked like one coal. He couldn't... He couldn't replenish it, for Scrooge kept the gold box in his own room, and so surely as the clerk came in with a shovel, the master predicted that it would be necessary for them to part. Wherefore the clerk put on his white comforter and tried to keep warm himself at the candle, in which effort, not being a man of strong imagination, he failed. "Merry Christmas, Uncle! God save you!" cried a cheery voice. It was the voice of Scrooge's nephew, who came upon him so quickly that this was the first intimation he had of his approach. "Bah!" said Scrooge. "Humbug!" He had so heated himself with rapid walking in the fog and frost, this nephew of Scrooge's, that he was all in a glow. His face was ruddy and handsome. His eyes sparkled, and his breath smoked again. "Christmas a humbug, Uncle?" said Scrooge's nephew. "You don't mean that, I am sure." "I do," said Scrooge. "Merry Christmas! What right have you to be merry? What reason have you to be merry? You're poor enough." "Come then," returns the nephew gaily. What right have you to be so dismal? What reason have you to be morose? You're rich enough." Scrooge, having no better answer ready on the spur of the moment, said "Bah!" again, and it followed up with a "Humbug!" "Don't be cross, Uncle," said the nephew. "What else can I be?" returned the uncle, "where I live in such a world of fools as this. Merry Christmas! Out upon Merry Christmas! What Christmas time to you but a time for paying bills without money, a time for finding yourself a year older and not an hour richer, a time for balancing your books and having every item in them through a round dozen of mouths presented dead against you. If I could work my will," said Scrooge indignantly, "every idiot who goes about with Merry Christmas on his lips should be boiled with his own pudding, and buried with a stake of holly upon his heart. He should." "Uncle!" pleaded the nephew. "Nephew!" returned the uncle sternly. "Keep Christmas in your own way, and let me keep it in mine." "Keep it?" repeated Scrooge's nephew. "But you don't keep it." "Let me leave it alone, then," said Scrooge. "Much good may it do to you. Much good has it done you. What much good has it ever done you?" "There are many good things which might have derived good, by which I have not profited, I dare say," returned the nephew. "Christmas among the rest. But I am sure I have always thought of Christmas time when it has come around. Apart from the adventure due to its sacred name and origin, if anything belong to it can apart from that. What a good time, a kindly, forgiving, charitable, pleasant time. The only time I know of, the long calendar of the year." I might cut this as like half a stream just because my damn throat. I am so sorry, folks. I tried. I don't know why, but I am sick again, and I hope I can be well enough again for the next stream. Maybe Monday will be different. I don't know. But anyway. Anything coming apart from that. As a good time, kind, forgiving, charitable, pleasant time. The only time I know of in the long calendar of the year when men and women seem by one consent to open their shut-up hearts freely and think of people below them as if they really were fellow passengers to the grave, and not another race of creatures bound on their journeys, and therefore, Uncle, although it has never put a scrap of gold or silver in my pocket, I believe it has done me good, and it will do me good, and I say God bless it. I think I will stop now. I am So sorry. I have tried so hard. I've rested all week and I don't know why I am the way I am, but alright, how about this? Tomorrow I'll read the rest of Scrooge and the First Ghost, and then I shall end this now so I can get some rest for tomorrow. Does that sound like a good deal? I think so. Alright, well, thank you for stopping by for a short stream, and hopefully I'll be well enough